if you look at most money frameworks, they're all based on a few key ideas, right? Optimization, responsibility, tracking every penny.
Mm. And usually a little bit of guilt.
A lot of guilt, let's be honest. They're built for security, for the long haul.
And that's critical, of course. But it creates this strange paradox where we get so good at saving for the future that we forget to actually live a little now.
Exactly. So today we're going to dive into a framework that flips that on its head. It centers on, aliveness and joy.
I like those words.
We're going to unpack something called the two-tier net worth framework, or spark and shift money. And our mission is to see how this approach, which is really about quality of life, can layer on top of the big established strategies like the FIRE or 4% rule or the 50-30-20 budget.
Yeah, and the great thing is, this framework it's remarkably simple. It's not trying to replace your entire financial plan. Think of it more like an emotional anchor, a way to build meaning into your money. We'll get into the percentages, but really, it's about the why. Why it works to make sure your life isn't just safe, but, really worth living.
Okay, let's jump right in. The core idea here is that you anchor your spending, specifically your fund spending, not to your income, but to your total net worth.
That's the key. And you carve out two totally separate, non-negotiable pools of money for experiences.
So let's talk about the first one. It's the tiny one.
Intentionally tiny. We call it spark money. And the rule is it's exactly 0.001% of your net worth.
0.01%. I mean, that sounds like almost nothing.
And that's the whole point, psychologically. This is your monthly joy budget. You're meant to use it often, every month, every week, whatever works.
And the main rule.
No spreadsheets.
Yeah.
No tracking. No second guessing. It is mandated, guilt-free spending. It's designed purely to lower your cognitive load.
That's the magic right there, the cognitive load. We get so paralyzed by small decisions, don't we? Like, should I buy this coffee? Because we worry about the long-term impact.
Exactly. Every little purchase feels like a failure.
Yeah.
But when the number is already set aside and you're supposed to spend it, that paralysis it vanishes.
So let's make it real. If you have a net worth of, say, $500,000, what does that look like?
Okay, so 0.01% of $500,000 is $50.
$50 a month.
Yeah. It's small enough that it can't possibly hurt your long-term goals, but it's absolutely big enough to boost your mood day to day.
So what are we spending that $50 on? What are the examples?
No, it's all about the micro uplifts. The source material gives great examples like buying the perfect croissant and actually sitting down in a cafe for an hour, or grabbing a last-minute museum ticket and getting a glass of wine after.
I like that.
Or even something like leaving a huge unexpected tip for a street musician you enjoyed. It's about small, reliable hits of joy that break up the grind.
Okay, so that's the spark. Now, the second tier, shift money. This sounds like a completely different beast.
It is. This is the big one. Shift money is a larger amount that you spend maybe once or twice a year on something genuinely transformative. The number here is 1% of your net worth.
1%. So sticking with our $500,000 example, that's $5,000.
$5,000. Now that is a serious, purposeful amount of money. Enough to actually create a shift in your life.
And there's a rule for this one too, I assume.
A critical one. It must create memories, comfort, or security. It must not create clutter. This is an investment in your life, not just in more stuff.
That distinction is so important. Utility over clutter. So what does a $5,000 shift actually look like?
It's totally personal.
Got
For
it.
one person, it's a huge experience, like that 2-week trip to Albania we'll talk about later. For someone else, it's about comfort. Maybe upgrading your 10-year-old laptop to a professional one that makes your creative work flow.
Or buying back time, right? It doesn't have to be a thing.
Exactly. That's a perfect use for it. Hiring an editor for your book project, or a virtual assistant for a few months to handle the admin you hate. You're buying back hours of your life for your real passions. Or, making a really meaningful donation to a cause that's close to your heart.
So when you put them together, the 0.01% for daily joy and the 1% for these big milestones, you're basically building a system to fight off what they call hedonic adaptation.
That's it. You stop chasing bigger and bigger purchases just to feel something. You've given yourself permission to play small with the spark and invest big with the shift. No more guilt.
And this all layers on top of an already solid financial plan.
Which is the perfect segue. To really get why this is so powerful, we need a little context. We have these classic frameworks that are all about financial survival.
Right, let's ground ourselves in those for a minute, starting with the big one for anyone interested in early retirement, the FIRE 4% rule.
The The 4% rule is all about long-term sustainability. The basic idea is that you can safely pull out 4% of your invested portfolio every year in retirement. And historically, there's a very, very high chance your money will last at least 30 years.
And this isn't just a random number. It's backed by a ton of data, right? The Trinity study, mainly.
Exactly. The Trinity study looked at market returns and inflation over long periods and found that 4% was a really safe withdrawal rate. So its strength is security. It's predictable.
But its weakness, for this conversation anyway, is that it's just about survival. It tells you how to pay your bills, but has nothing to say about joy. It treats all spending as the same.
Utilitarian, yeah. Now, the other big one, especially when you're still working, is the 50-30-20 budget rule.
Right, the one based on income. 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, and 20% for savings and debt.
And it's popular for a reason. It's simple, it's flexible. But its big weakness is right there in the name. It's based on income. So what happens when you retire and you don't have a steady paycheck anymore?
It kind of falls apart. It doesn't really work for retirees or seniors who are living off their portfolio.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's a question I have. If my spark and shift budgets are tied to my net worth, what happens in a market crash? My net worth drops 20% and suddenly my joy budget shrinks. Doesn't that create anxiety?
That is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And you're right, income can feel less volatile day to day. But the net worth anchor is powerful because it's proportionate to your actual security. If the market is down 20%, cutting your spark money from, say, $50 to $40 a month is a small, sensible adjustment. It keeps your joy spending in line with your overall financial health. It makes the system sustainable for the long run instead of encouraging you to overspend in lean years.
So it's a feature, not a bug. The system adjusts with you.
Precisely.
Okay, so putting it all together, Spark and Chip are like the mindset layer, the emotional tool, but they need a solid foundation underneath.
No, absolutely. Think of it like a cake. You have to have the layers.
And the base of that cake, the foundation, has to be that long-term security. So the FIRE 4% rule?
Yep. Correct. The 4% rule is your base layer. It's the predictable stream of income that covers your non-negotiables. The things that would be in that 50% needs bucket, your housing, your food, your healthcare.
And then you put the fun stuff on top.
Then you add the frosting. That's the spark and shift. It's the whole reason you bake the cake in the first place. It ensures life isn't just safe, it's actually delicious.
I love that analogy. So let's connect the dots for someone listening, depending on where they are in life. If you're still working, still building your wealth, how do you combine these?
While you're working, that 50-30-20 rule is still great for managing your income, but you use spark and shift as a mindset within your 30% wants bucket.
Ah, so you're being more intentional with that 30%.
Way more intentional. Instead of just letting that money disappear on random stuff you won't remember, you mandate the 0.01% for daily joy, and you consciously save up that 1% for your big transformative shift experience. It gives your wants a purpose.
And what about for people who are in retirement?
Well, that's where this combination really shines. The net worth anchor is just better. Your 4% draw from your portfolio replaces your old paycheck. That becomes your needs bucket.
Okay.
Then the spark money handles your micro wants, and the shift money becomes your big annual splurge from the old 30% bucket, but done in one deliberate, high-impact shot.
So this solves a huge problem for retirees. It anchors their discretionary spending to their actual wealth, not some unpredictable income stream, and it forces them to plan for joy and transformation.
Yes, it shifts the entire mindset from just planning for how long your money will last to planning for the quality of the years you have.
All right, let's talk about maximizing that shift money. That 1% is for something transformative. It could be travel, a major tool upgrade, buying back time, anything that creates a memory, not clutter.
Absolutely. And when we talk about maximizing it, we mean getting the most impact for every dollar. So you look for things or places where the cost is low, but the quality of the experience is incredibly high.
Highest impact, lowest drag. I like that. So for a lot of people, this is going to mean travel. If you've got that, say, $5,000 budget, you want to go somewhere you can really immerse yourself.
For sure. And we've seen so much value in focusing on destinations that are maybe a bit off the beaten path.
Yeah.
In Europe, instead of London or Paris, you look at a place like Tirana, Albania.
Which the sources call one of Europe's best-kept secrets.
It really is. You get incredible mountains, amazing history, and your money just goes so much further.
And there are other spots in Eastern Europe, too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Sofia, Bulgaria is a bargain. Great city, access to mountains. They have these famous mineral baths. Or Budapest, Hungary. You get that stunning, grand European city feel on the Danube, but for a fraction of the cost.
Okay, what about somewhere warmer? A lot of people love Spain and Portugal, but again, the goal is efficiency.
Right. So you look at the second cities. In Portugal, you'd pick Porto over Lisbon. It's a bit cheaper, has incredible charm. In Spain, maybe you skip Madrid and Barcelona and head for Valencia. You get the city and the beach, or Granada with the Alhambra and that amazing, affordable tapas culture.
And then there's Asia, the classic budget-friendly destination. What's a high-impact shift experience there?
Southeast Asia is still the king for this. You have Chiang Mai in Thailand. It's a classic for a reason slower pace, culturally rich, and you can get a world-class massage for $10.
Hard to beat.
Or a place like Hoi An in Vietnam, that lantern-lit old town, the coast nearby. It's just an incredibly beautiful place with a very low cost of living.
So the takeaway here is that your $5,000 shift budget isn't just a weekend in Paris. It's enough for a multi-week, deeply memorable trip to a place like Albania or Vietnam. It's a 1% spend for a 100% life uplift.
That's the entire philosophy in a nutshell.
It really is. So to wrap this all up,
I think the key takeaway is simple. No matter your net worth, take a minute today and actually calculate your numbers. Figure out your personal 0.01% for monthly joy and your 1% for a big experience. And then commit, really commit, to spending them. On purpose.
it's about treating joy like a dividend you pay yourself from your own life. It's not irresponsible. It's just acknowledging that wealth is only valuable when you use it to enrich your experience on this planet. You're investing in your own life story.
And that leads to a final thought for you to chew on. If you calculated your annual shift money right now, that 1% what single transformative thing would you spend it on this year? What would you do to intentionally create a memory or genuine comfort or real security instead of just buying more stuff that will eventually become clutter? Go find that Albania trip or hire that assistant and make the shift.